Welcome back to the show, everybody. Listen to these headlines on December 24th, 2021. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas Eve to everybody if you celebrate. Gary Gensler's excuse for Ethereum free pass, I can tell you right now it ain't good enough. John Deaton appeal, we'll cover it. Mainstream media says Ripple XRP story is not over. Price suppression, we'll talk about it. Stellar, looks like the numbers end of year wrap up are pretty nice. We'll take a look at those as well. Japan token tax rate. Whoa, you're not going to like it, especially if you live in Japan. CZ Binance talks CBDC's Bitcoin ban and the decline of Bitcoin. We'll get into those points he makes. ISO 2022 cryptos, 5 compliant ones. We'll take a look at it. And what is XRP designed for? We're going to take a look at that specifically and how it can relieve the pressure on the financial system. We'll take a look at some very real numbers. Somebody rolled a beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow me on Twitter at @BackUpBradleyAbove and everything that we're talking about here today. Crypto market cap is $2.401 trillion this morning. We are up 5.76%. on the crypto market cap collectively. Now that is saying something. And so is Bitcoin, back over $50,989 and change here. Ethereum back over the $4,000 mark. And we see Solana coming in at $188 and change. And Cardano is at $1.47, up 19+% on the 7-day. XRP at 98 cents this morning, 0.9846. And we're up more than 21% on the 7-day as well. Look at the price range right here very quickly. We are 0.9571 on the low side and $1.0149 on the top side. It wants to go. It does, but we know that we're being held down. But let me tell you right now, the numbers are brought to you by PureVPN, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to any one of my videos, and right under the video, you just click the very first link in the description box or the very first link in the comment section, and it will take you to this. PureVPN, where you can access any crypto platform securely from anywhere, leave no digital trace of your identity. This is one of the many different layers of protection I use to help myself hide my identity online. And I tell you, I've been very happy with it since the day I got it. And let me tell you something else, 88% off, ladies and gentlemen, $1.33 a month. Every one of us can afford that. And can we really afford to not be protected online? That's one of the real questions right there. Make sure you check it out. This is Ripple I right here. It says Ethereum, and he's talking about Gary Gensler's comments here, and he's talking about forbearance, which is the action of refraining from exercising a legal right. Listen to this clip, and I don't know exactly where he pulled these comments from, but we know they're legit. And this is Gary Gensler responding to someone, and it could have been at MIT or what have you, but he talks about here, I mean, the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission and the Hinman speech sort of said you could be sufficiently decentralized as Ethereum. They, in essence, the SEC, had some regulatory forbearance, choosing not to exercise that legal right. Problem is, in this situation, is that we know that Jay Clayton benefited by going to One River after his public service as the SEC chair, and benefited from the Bitcoin Ethereum push in that One River company. We know that William Hinman also benefited from Ethereum, from Simpson Thacker, paid $15 million here. We also know this. The SEC continues to stonewall the information, the Freedom of Information Act from John Deaton here, representing over 65,000 XRP holders. We can't let the SEC continue to operate like a bully in the schoolyard with anonymity here. And this is what's going on. He says, my Freedom of Information request, known as a FOIA request, for Hinman's calendar was initially denied by the SEC because it claimed the calendar was created by staff for their personal use and convenience, and thus not agency records, subject to FOIA request. He has appealed the SEC's general counsel. I tell you, thank goodness this guy is leading the charge and representing each one of us. And this is what the SEC looks like when they're trying to protect themselves here. with all of the redacted information. Mr. Bill Hinman, can you confirm that you set up a meeting with Ethereum Joseph Lubin in March 2018? And if so, what was said in that meeting? Is it true that Joseph Lubin saw XRP as no competition? And why was that? What's your response? All of this is redacted. Look at it. This is how hard they will work to protect themselves, isn't it? Well, Wilbur54 is getting a follow from me. I didn't even realize I wasn't. Now I am. And look, all of this speaks to this comment right here. John Deaton says, some people fantasize about wealth. Athletes fantasize about competing in the Olympics and winning a gold medal. Some have grand fantasies like Elon Musk about colonizing Mars. Some fantasize about being famous. Me, I fantasize about something I never imagined, having subpoena power. Oh. Are you hearing that, Jay Clayton? Are you hearing that, William Hinman? This isn't talking about Ripple. Ripple's already in a case with the SEC. I think a lot of people don't really understand the full weight of John Deaton representing 65,000 plus XRP holders that have been wronged by the decisions of Jay Clayton and William Hinman and Gary Gensler, who is at this time not taking a stance on defining what Ethereum actually is from his chair and his role in this. Now, I want you to think about that. If he gets subpoena power to be able to subpoena William Hinman, all of this stuff won't be redacted to him, now will it? And we're going to get to the bottom of all of this. Now, if I can tell you one thing, it will take real answers to get John Deaton to go away. Very, very real answers. And we are not going away. And this also reminds me, while we're talking about this, that the case is not going away in the mainstream media. And let me tell you, all of this is Charles Gasparino says here to somebody who talks about the case. He said, great advice. He says, himself and Eleanor Terrett will be doing some more stuff on XRP and Ripple SEC enforcement in the new year, only on Fox Business. This is getting bigger. And I'm reminding here, CNBC and Becky Quick, that this is not over. The biggest financial story is not over. It's just getting started. And I tell you this too, while that's happening and understanding this story continues, what are we really witnessing here? We're witnessing Ripple and XRP and honestly, a large part of the entire crypto space being suppressed because of the lack of clarity that's happened and not happened in this space. Now you think about that for a second. And that's why Link2 is offering $1,000 worth of XRP if you buy private equity from them at link2.com with your crypto. And if you buy Ripple private equity, they'll give you $1,500 worth of XRP. This stuff does not last long on their platform because the people that are buying it understand that this market and specifically Ripple and XRP are being hugely suppressed by this case. And once we have this case over and we have the clarity we need and we see legislation come out from Congress or decisions that help define things from the Treasury's role in this, I'm telling you, and an IPO to follow from Ripple soon after all of that, you tell me what these prices will look like for these assets and these private equity. I tell you, you know, that to me is something that keeps me excited, even though I'm very upset about the fact that we've been wronged and put into a lawsuit. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to be the rising phoenix because this means all the pain we've had to go through will be a payoff because that payoff is going to be legal precedent and clarity for the digital asset XRP. All right, there it is. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else, but let's take a look at this because Stellar is another one I'm extremely excited about. And it is a end-of-year wrap-up here. CEO and Executive Director Janelle Dixon wraps up 2021 with a recap of end-of-year metrics. Take a look at some of these. Total accounts grew to over 6 million. That's up 32% from 2020. We see 127% up from 2020 in total operations of 1.8 billion. We also see here the network stats here. It gives it right here. Total operations up 127%. Total assets 945%. Take a look at that number. It says here, it's not just about the raw network growth. We track growth in relevant assets, assets tethered to real financial instruments, and relevant asset transactions. Since the start of 2021, we've seen an 11% increase in relevant assets and 2.3 times increase in daily transaction volume of those assets. Now, we see here at least 10 new anchors have joined the Stellar ecosystem, up more than 33% from 2020. Now, listen, I'm excited about XRP and I'm excited about Stellar. You guys know I'm in both of these things. And listen, I am not a coin maxi. I am a utility maxi. And if your token has utility and a real use case, I'm excited about it. But here's something I'm not so excited about. And if you live in Japan, I bet you're not so excited about it either. 35% tax rate. This is madness, Hall of Famer Michael says. Japan's ruling coalition approved a tax plan for 2022 fiscal year that continues to treat token listings as taxable. Listen to this. Once tokens are listed on an active market, issuers are liable to pay tax even if they don't sell. Holy moly. I tell you what, you talk about people that don't embarrass very easily. This is a group of them right here. Well, listen, this conversation gets heavier because this is CZ Binance. He speaks up on the chance that governments could ban Bitcoin after CBDC's launch. Now, I want to give you some of this because there's some food for thought in here. I don't think we'll necessarily see a Bitcoin ban, and neither does CZ Binance. And he reminds us in this article that up until this date, there is no one that's banning Bitcoin. But he answers the question of whether the introduction of central bank digital currencies can have an impact on Bitcoin. And CZ admitted that the need for Bitcoin will be reduced drastically. Many ask him, will CBDCs replace Bitcoin? For the differences mentioned above, he says here, I think that's unlikely to happen. Although it's not inconceivable that a central bank may issue permissionless limited supply coin with low fees. If that happens, people in that country may indeed have less need for Bitcoin. So what he's pointing to right there before I go any further is a lot of people buy Bitcoin as the first asset to get them in the market and then go buy the other thing that they wanted or other things that they wanted. Very reminiscent to my early days in this digital asset space where you had to buy Bitcoin in the space or Ethereum and then go buy XRP on some other platform, right? That's still taking place to a large degree today. But the Binance founder also stated that this may not be a cause for concern, as good number of Bitcoin holders do not view the digital asset as currency alternative, which is true. They look at it as a hedge to their portfolio, right? Hedge funds are a great example of this. For this reason, comparing Bitcoin to CBDCs is needless. So here we see it's not money. He's admitting that. So when you understand it from that point of view, you don't have to worry about it. It's also conceivable that governments may want to ban Bitcoin to promote their own central bank digital currency. Clarification on ban Bitcoin. So far, I know of no country that made owning Bitcoin illegal, so there's no ban of Bitcoin anywhere. He admitted that the CBDC would have a positive impact on economies. However, he entreats regulators to not only treat these digital currencies differently from cryptos, he believes that this may be an additional tool for governments to drive the adoption of wallets and start accepting cryptos by forcing shops and merchants to accept digital currencies. Now, this is what I have talked about on this channel a lot in the years past, is that the government may not ban Bitcoin, but what they may do is put things in place where it requires shops and merchants and people that provide services and products to accept digital dollars and not crypto. They could fine you, imprison you, that kind of thing, if they want to. Now, I don't think any of this would really take shape until there was an official CBDC released, but this is something that they could look to move to do. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't own crypto. That doesn't mean that you couldn't have crypto and use it for payments. It just means that there would need to be a conversion, a step of conversion on and off ramp between you and the merchant, right? And you could use your $1,000 worth of Bitcoin to make that purchase, but that merchant would be receiving it after a conversion is made in your wallet or app, and they would receive the digital CBDC or digital dollar that they chose to receive in that country. So there's that. So also, exchanges will need permission to use central bank digital currencies depending on jurisdiction. Acquiring a license to use their their currencies will demand a lengthy approval process. If or when CBDCs open their permission to allow crypto exchanges to integrate it, that will be a very good fiat on-ramp. If the permission scheme is open, then it may replace many of the stable coins in existence today. And that is another great point of this, that look, all of this is pointing to the maturation of this new digital space. The central banks are not going to lose control. And if you are going to have a private-public relationship with a private stable coin, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to get treated much like they're going in the direction of here in the United States. You're going to hold that surplus in a federally chartered bank. You're probably going to have to be licensed just like a federally chartered bank and held accountable to that standard. And then this gives them the confidence, well, at least it should, right? Because we certainly see fractional lending go on in a regulated banking market, and all of that's wrong, right? But in a perfect world, so don't beat me up in the comments, the idea is all of this is to remain in control when it comes to the central banking system, the governments, and the financial system. They're never going to release that chokehold. They're just not going to do it. Taking a look here, this is more evidence that we are going to see cryptos in the financial world. And as they get closer and closer to the financial world, that means you're going to have knock-on effects because the world will become more reliant on them as they become intertwined and interwoven into the financial system, which brings us to ISO 20022 cryptos, 5 compliant cryptos to keep an eye on in 2022. Most of you know them. Just want to highlight the ones that are mentioned here. It's XRP, it's Stellar, right? It's IOTA, and it's Algorand are the ones cited in here. And they even talk about Hedera, Hashgraph, Quant, and Cardano as well. But the reality here, the ISO 2022 standard is really interesting because it is the global de facto modern payment language. And it is what the financial world is moving to. We also know, I've covered it many times on the channel, that Ripple is a part of the standards body committee for that body, and they are the first member focused on distributed ledger technology. So we know that they're in, and we know that at some point, the goal is to use XRP for settlement. Why do we know that, Brad? Why isn't it just the Ripple software? Because that's what everybody else says. They'll use the software, but they won't use the token. That's not true. Ultimately, the goal is to use the token and many other tokens because it can create more savings and benefits and efficiency. Let's take a look at this right here. Mr. Yo-Yo says XRP was designed from the very beginning to essentially be a replacement for SWIFT, a leading money transfer network, or to otherwise replace settlement layer between major financial institutions. Take a look at just this point here, and we're going to look at some real numbers and information. Just a second. Rather than compete with large banking companies, Ripple plans to partner with leading financial institutions and provide them with a blockchain solution. Instead of converting dollars into other currencies, which entails exchange rate costs, processing fees, slow transaction times, one bank can transfer, for example, $5 million worth of XRP to another bank's Ripple portfolio. This is all known today and current as on-demand liquidity in RippleNet, right? Which can then be converted into local currency. Ripple is seeking to position itself as an alternative to SWIFT. Its software controls the relevant banks, funds, and updates each party's accounting books. The settlement process is completed in seconds. By consolidating liquidity to service international payments from many disjointed international Nostro accounts into one XRP pool, respondent banks allocate less total liquidity to service the same volume of global payments. Think of it. The bank only has to hold its domestic currency and maintain one account with XRP with only enough XRP to service the largest expected payment obligation. The process minimizes the number of intermediaries and their markup on spreads, as well as if you're a global bank or a global financial institution or small medium enterprise business that does business globally, you won't have to hold currencies in all the different countries that you do business in. You will not need bilateral relationships with those banks anymore. And we're talking about a lot of money here. How much money are we actually talking about that is locked up globally around the world since the inception of global payments? Listen to this number.
How much money is pre-funded and how long does it typically sit there?
There's $27 trillion sitting in these bank-to-bank accounts. They're called Nostra accounts, Vostra accounts.
Yeah.
And there you have it, $27 trillion locked up around the world because of this inefficient wiring, payment, settlement, instant settlement, because right now they don't even have instant settlement. They got instant payment, but it's not instant settlement. So what's the problem? The problem is that daily we see that actually SWIFT handles about 5 to 6 trillion per day in settlements or in payments. Not settlement, because they don't settle in same day. So and there's actually a link here for the document, but it's actually inactive now, and it takes you to FinCEN where you used to be able to find it and it won't come up. But nevertheless, what I pulled was this is another piece that confirmed that we're talking about 5 trillion per day handled by, and this is according to the U.S. Treasury, the SWIFT handles about 5 trillion per day, give or take. This is what we're talking about, the number. But 27 trillion is locked up. Let's say that you could collectively bring together all the entities from SWIFT, the largest banks that are really at the top of this food chain, okay? Let's just say that we could bring all of them together. And we know that they're doing between 5 and 6 trillion a day, 27 trillion locked up. Let's just say we take 7 trillion collectively from the largest players at the top of this food chain and unlock the other $20 trillion that has been dormant since global payments and cross-border payments have been a thing. You don't think they don't want access to that? You could run a $7 trillion float, in a pool of XRP. That would be more than enough to handle the daily payment flows for the world and unlock the 20 trillion left that is locked up dormant right now. You don't think the world wouldn't see a need for the $20 trillion, understanding we went through a pandemic, a deliberate global shutdown of the economy because of it, and a liquidity crisis before it? There is your answer. The real deal is, as much as they act like they've got other options, they don't have one as good as this one. This is where we are as we close out on this year in 2021. And as difficult as it has been for everybody in the world, and it has been a difficult year, what I can tell you is that the financial system understands how difficult it's been for them. And they understand how difficult it is going to be even going into the future, into next year. They need a solution. Regardless of how many times they act like they can continue to kick the can down the road, and they will continue to do it. But I tell you what I see happening is at some point they're going to have to price this mess into a fix. And the only way to do that is to have a new money. And you can't have a new money just by buying a new money. You need utility to really drive the value of a new asset, to create real value in it. You can't buy your way out of this mess. That's why printing money doesn't work. The only way to really get out of this mess is to create new money. And that's what XRP actually is. And I believe that's what it will become after this case is over. The only way to get it is for the world's financial system to agree to move their payments onto this new infrastructure, driving the price of this asset up, putting the reserves of that 5 to 7 trillion of unlocking that 27 trillion onto the ledger, collateralizing the ledger. And once they collateralize the ledger, you will be talking about the utility moving on that network, giving real value to a very real digital asset, XRP. And therein lies how you get 4 and 5 digit numbers, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not leaving till I get them. That's not financial advice. That's just how I'm doing it. And I wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, or any other holiday that you celebrate. I hope in this time you're able to be with friends and family and have real meaningful time to spend with them, because at the end of the day, if I've learned nothing from my recent surgery and what I'm going through, real wealth is good health is true wealth. That is really what we're talking about here. Make sure you check out all the links in the description and the comment section. They're great products and services I use each and every day, and they are trusted, vetted links. Be very careful what you click on out here. I'll catch all of you on the next one.